All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, I do see chat is moving. People are pouring in, and so probably no problems over there. I did have to switch up the news schedule because we have, number one, we've got the decision with regards to illegals being able to purchase and wield firearms. That I figured was a big story. And then I bumped the Kentanji one earlier because it was redundant to a video I made this morning, and talk about it more tomorrow, maybe. I probably will not live stream tomorrow, by the way. I'm going on with Ethan Ralph at 3, and I'm also going on a 15-minute segment on a marathon stream. I posted that to Twitter later on at 6, so I'm not going to have the energy to do my live stream and 2 appearances in the same day. I'm doing the bloody best I can. We'll get right into it. First and foremost, district judge, gun ban for illegal immigrant unconstitutional. At first I said, well, you know, maybe there's an exonerating circumstance in this case. And I was like, okay, I'll keep an open mind. But no, there is none, actually, unfortunately. We've got an Iraqi immigrant who plotted to assassinate former President George W. Bush. It's like, you know, I wouldn't necessarily shed any tears over that, but it's kind of, it ties into the border crisis. So we'll talk about that. The DOJ is saying that one of Jim Biden's close associates conspired with a mafia boss to defraud Medicare. Again, major news that won't be covered as much as it should be. We've got the McDonald's ice cream machine thing, which for some reason is actually interesting to a lot of people. There was actually, I like Austin Peterson, but he had kind of a bad take. I don't think he read the full article because actually I support the decision that was made in this case. In fact, McDonald's ice cream machines seem to be the one win of the Biden administration so far. So, yay, finally the administration figured out how to do something right for a change. And then people don't give him credit for it, and it happens all the time. Trump's bloodbath threat wasn't even the most dangerous thing he said all weekend. Oh, yes, we've got the bloodbath continues, day 3 of the bloodbath fest. And also the Pakistan Air Force has attacked the Taliban across the border in Afghanistan. We'll be talking about the diplomatic ramifications of such actions. You've got the little bit of a political kerfuffle there. I'm generally amenable to the Pakistani position on this one. So yeah, we'll get into it. Just a sec. Yep, that's working. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you as well. Don't worry, we'll be talking about all sorts of crazy things. Now, let's talk about the illegal immigrants owning guns thing. All across the United States, in both federal and state decisions, you've had a callous disregard for the Bruen decision. This one actually invokes Bruen, but makes a decision that makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to read this. This is from Michael Savage's page here. And then, again, I fact-checked this. When I first got the tip, I'm like, oh, it can't possibly be that bad. No judge could possibly rule like that. There's got to be some sort of missing context of some sort that's getting people up in arms, and they're not understanding exactly what the decision is about. Nope, no, it's actually real. On March 8th, 2024, U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman decided against a federal ban on gun ownership for illegal immigrant Heliberto Carbajal Flores. The case at hand centered on Carbajal Flores, who was charged with possession of a firearm while illegally or unlawfully in the United States. He had a handgun in his possession in the Little Village neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois, on June 1st, 2020. He was charged for being a non-citizen in possession of a firearm. Carbajal Flores sought twice unsuccessfully to have his indictment removed, but in his third attempt, a decision in the United States Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit and the Supreme Court of the United States Bruen decision resulted in a different outcome. And of course, you can press more here should you want to read more into that. Now, at first I figured, okay, this individual illegally entered the United States, was charged, and but at the time he was charged, he had he gained residency or something like that, covered under the DREAM Act or something along those lines. In which case, I would actually agree with the decision. While such an individual, not a full citizen, a resident, conditionally or unconditionally, would be not a member of the militia, so the Second Amendment does not broadly apply. The privilege to own a gun, I have no problem. If they've committed no violent crime, they're not felonious, they're not insane or something like that, I don't really have a problem with them having a firearm if they're in the country, so long as you've established that residency. So you've paid your back taxes, you did file the paperwork, you got your shit together, you're no longer illegally in the country, you're now legally in the country. While it's not a constitutional right because you're not a citizen, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody like that owning a firearm. I don't have a problem with it. I tend to be rather puristic on this. But to invoke the Bruin decision, I do believe there is a long-standing legal precedent for people that are not citizens of the United States not having protection under the Second Amendment. For citizens, which is broadly ignored, absolutely. There's no precedent of any gun control in the country prior to Crookshank. But the border was defended. People could not simply enter the United States without being documented. It was an easier process maybe 100 years ago, but they weren't allowed to simply waltz across the border. I would point out that until the 60s, the only people eligible to become citizens tended to be the European diaspora anyway. And then later on, of course, former slaves and things like that. But generally, everyone else was in the country basically under privilege. Yeah, you can come and work here. You can do brute labor. That's fine. You can go to Chinatown or whatever, Little Nippon, and that's perfectly fine. And we don't have a problem with that. But you're not a citizen. You can't vote or something like that. There was a whole case about whether Finns were actually to be counted among the European diaspora. In the end, they prevailed on that token. And so I'm not understanding the concept here. You're saying that somebody who is illegally in the country is nonetheless due a constitutional right, but they're not a citizen. The Second Amendment makes it fairly clear what the Second Amendment pertains to. It is the right of the militia to keep and bear arms. The militia are able-bodied, able-minded citizens who are not criminal lunatics who have reached the age of majority, which currently is 18. It used to be 21. They're capable of voting. They're capable of mustering in time of need for their own defense, the defense of their communities, etc. That's the militia. It's not up for debate. Any legitimate scholarship on the issue makes it fairly clear what the militia refers to. And those arms can be anything. Yes, I believe you should be able to mail order a Tommy gun. But you should not be able to mail order a Tommy gun if you're illegally in the United States. This decision makes absolutely no goddamn sense at all. When I first read it, I figured there must be a missing context. Okay, they're finding it unconstitutional because later on he cleared things up. He's no longer an illegal. He's a resident. Okay, well, you may not have a constitutional right outright, but I don't have a problem with you owning a gun. Neither with the founders. You're residing in the country legally. People who were in the country who did like rail work and shit like that under the Homestead Act or whatever, that hadn't become full-on citizens, they did buy weapons, and nobody had a problem with this. But if you're illegally in the country, you're actively breaking the law. I don't understand how the Bruin decision applies to that. If a person had been kept out of the United States for some reason or another, they're a criminal, they're not from an eligible country, whatever the fuck it may be, they didn't sign the paperwork right, they got booted out, they would not have been allowed to purchase a firearm. I mean, they physically could go out to some Western territory where there's basically no law and order anyway, and people got along fairly well under that auspice. It's interesting how much infrastructure can be planted without the government being directly involved, by the way. But there was no right. There was never a construing of that being a right of those individuals. So, I mean, I'm shaking my head at this decision. It makes no sense. I can't make head nor tails of it. It literally makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm not surprised that it's an Obama appointee DEI judge, by the way. RGB 917. Poolside in Cancun, getting my morning clank on and some sun. Life is good. Clank Nation. Plenty of sun here, but snow on the ground. Typical March weather for Vermont. Wasted Bonehead. Good morning from the grave. Oh, goodness. Webster's Wares. Good morning, clankers from Endicott, Washington, deep behind enemy lines. Free shipping using code STICKS at checkout at www.websterswares.com. Trump 2024 and Sticks merch now available. Clank Army flags in today. Excellent. I'll have to be flying one of them. Pepe Payne. The argument should now be to do away with the paperwork required for buying a gun, minus private sales. Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly amenable to that. If illegal immigrants are going to be capable of owning guns anyway, well, then there shouldn't be a background check system. Who gives a fuck? I'm willing to trade with the far left on this issue. If I can just go and buy a gun of sight unseen and, or 10 guns and nobody can do anything about it and there's no background check or form or anything like that, well, I'm a lawful member of the militia. I should be able to do that. Devin Knox. How can it be legal for an illegal to do anything here, much less own a gun? I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I have no fucking clue how they arrived at this decision. It reminds me of the Massachusetts gun law where they're like, well, we're going to ban assault weapons. And under the auspices of Bruin, quite clearly there's no long-standing historical tradition of those weapons being banned, so it should automatically be nullified. And they didn't even cite any case law. Literally no pre-existing statute or law from the state or the federal level was even utilized in the decision that was made. Trevor D. Fuck Ethan Ralph. He is a predator. Yes, but I'm still going to be going on his show. I mean, if people think that he's predatory in nature, that's their opinion. I work with other content creators, so I'm not going to judge anyone. I don't know any backstory on Ethan Ralph or anything like that because I don't get into e-drama, so I just don't give a fuck. Riley Kungle, can you say hi to my boyfriend for me? Love you, babe. Okay, hi to your Riley's boyfriend. And I don't know, I think she loves you or he. These days you don't know. Or maybe I do. I'm not 100% sure. Joel Castillo. Good morning. I do not recommend doing outdoor streams. Remember how easily Shia LaBeouf was found on 4chan using airliner flight paths? Yeah, but I mean, I doxed myself years ago, so it doesn't really matter. Gorgeous Mayhem. Sticks, whatever will we do? Pence won't endorse Trump. Looks like we can't vote for Trump now. Darn it, can I get some fuck off Pence in the chat? Plenty of fuck off Pence in the chat, I'm sure, on a regular day, but now it'll be on steroids. Yeah, I'm sure that Donald Trump really is upset at not getting his endorsement. It would have changed 10 voters' minds. Aerodynamic 11, base sticks regarding that court decision. Other libertarians like Iraq veteran 888 holding such opinions make right-wingers think they're containment. Yeah. Helios ending. Sticks, your ability to deliver blood-boiling, dire news with a straight face never ceases to amaze me. Well, at this point, I've seen it all, so this is a no black pill zone. Wasted bonehead. Sticks, I heard someone trying to ban Sigilstone yesterday. I'm conflicted. On one hand, he's a little shit. On the other, I don't support censorship. What a pickle. Webster's Wares. All gun laws should go the way of McCain. Agreed. Keeping in mind, of course, that an illegal immigrant is not a member of the militia, so the Second Amendment does not even apply. Ryan McDonald, USA. We call immigrants living in America Americans. While living in the Netherlands, did anyone accept you as Dutch? I heard Germans go by language nowadays. No, and I never claimed to be Dutch. And I followed all the laws and did everything right. And, well, I didn't follow the face diaper mandate. But other than that, yeah, there was no problem. Cicero 1776. Bringing in future enforcers for a single-party rule. Traitors. Crossover Maniac. I can think of only one reason why anti-gun leftists would want to give illegal aliens more gun rights than U.S. citizens, and that would be to enlist illegal aliens as mercenaries to subjugate the country. I don't think you're going to be capable of doing that. I'm trying to figure out exactly what else. I mean, it's going to be shot down by SCOTUS. They're going to need to revisit Bruin. They're going to need to sharpen up the ramifications of what they mean by the Bruin decision. There will be another Supreme Court case probably in the next year or two. Trevor D. Just my opinion. You do you, and I respect you 100%. Excellent. Granite State Man. Imagine how many illegals possess firearms in the U.S. Well, I mean, people that are legally in the country that shouldn't have weapons also do. So it's not necessarily an existential crisis. It's just the court decision makes no fucking sense. Sparky. Sticks. Glad to see you getting hip to what's happening in sub-Saharan Africa with your boy Macron losing France's grip on their neo-colonies. ECOWAS is a weakening European neo-colonial construct. Hillbilly sent 199. Thank you very much. Sigilstone, can't ban me. I'm too lucrative. Yeah, and when people send me money to try to get you banned, I mean, I'm making money, so I don't have a problem with this particular arrangement, so troll on. This is a weird one. Iraqi immigrant plotted to smuggle assassins through Mexico to kill former U.S. president, according to documents. Shihab Ahmed Shihab, yes, you heard that right. I'm not having a stroke. Pleaded guilty in, I think they mean pled guilty, in a plot to kill George W. Bush. An Iraqi citizen living in Ohio plotted to smuggle ISIS sympathizers into the United States who do not care if they are killed during the mission to murder former President George W. Bush, court documents show. Shihab Ahmed Shihab, clearly a good God-fearing Christian, by the way, believed the former commander-in-chief was responsible for killing many Iraqis and destroying the country during Operation of Iraqi Freedom. I mean, you're not wrong. I don't believe in assassinating people, but you do have a point. Yeah, Bush is responsible for a lot of that, yeah. Shihab pled guilty last year to attempting to provide material support to terrorists and was sentenced in February to more than 14 years in prison for the plot, details of which are now revealed in court documents. Shihab aided al-Qaeda as a gun runner during the war. Why was he in the United States? Can I please ask the most pertinent question that this article never quite touches upon? He brought weapons from Syria into Iraq and smuggled explosive packed vehicles that were set as traps along known roads Americans traveled, federal court documents say. Only recently did you figure this out? Once he was already in the fucking United States? Shahab's plot included 2 former Iraqi intelligence agents who were to carry out the actual assassination while he scoped out the former president's Texas home and coordinated travel logistics, court documents show. He planned to smuggle the Iraqi nationals across the U.S.-Mexican border, Biden border crisis, wonderful, for thousands of dollars. But he had no idea he was plotting the assassination with an unnamed informant identified in court papers as CS1. Yes, the FBI managed to murk him. He planned to smuggle at least 7 assassins, all Iraqi nationals, across the border for thousands of dollars each. In the fall of 2021, he believed he successfully smuggled an ISIS member into the U.S. for $40,000. But in reality, the individual was fictitious, and the interaction was coordinated under the direction of the FBI, federal Ohio prosecutors said in a press release. So again, the big glaring question that this article, and no other coverage of it, by the way, actually touches upon. Why was Shihab Ahmed Shihab in the United States in the first place after being an al-Qaeda member who, was bombing U.S. positions with explosive packed vehicles? Why was he here? And by the way, I'm glad that you managed to catch him, although, again, I wouldn't shed any tears if something did happen to Dubya because he is a war criminal. But I can't support criminal assassination openly or in private, by the way. I'm averse to it. Why was he here? For an extended period of time. How did you not know that he was an al-Qaeda member beforehand? Didn't we have the best fucking possible intel in Iraq, supposedly? And we knew literally everything that was going on at all times? You didn't notice that the dude coming in from Iraq might be a terror threat or something? Very intriguing. Danny Rams, I just voted in the Illinois primary for whatever it's worth. Trump 2024. Good idea. Heritage Heirloom Seed Company. Sticks, your custom package will be inbound to you shortly. Subscribers, we are still having the March giveaway. Everyone who gets a survival bucket in March is eligible. Yes, we will be shouting out the merch partners in a minute. Wasted Bonehead. Ban Sigil. He's encouraging criminal vandalism and broadcasting it to thousands. Shake my head. Encouraging criminal behavior is not free speech. Gotcha. Sigil. I'm a smuggle in Pooland nationals to shit on Bonehead's grave. King of Biltong, we've been targeted by the progressive mob for standing against the LGBTQ middle school clubs. We'd like to thank everyone supporting us online. Without your support, our voice would be gone. Hashtag Clank Nation. You just need to sell more meat. You can wage infinite lawsuits. Huns with guns. Can you ask Ethan Ralph? I'm not going to get into that again. I don't know the backstory, and I'm not going to defame anyone. And if I'm going on somebody's show, then I'm going to show them respect. I mean, I had a kerfuffle with Ethan Ralph, I think, some time ago. I don't know anything about his personal life or about his wife or anything else. Opinionated junkie. Will feds cut rates? I have no fucking clue. And they can. It doesn't really make a difference one way or the other. Anyways, we'll get to our merch partners before we get into the next news stories. Pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, you can get keychains, you can get belt chains, you can get engraved spoons, and you can also get my favorite, amulets with the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer logo, clank on, and things of that nature. BiltongUSA.com. Use code STICKS, of course, at checkout, where you can get delicious meat. You can get mugs, tumblers, and shirts as well. wickedneedleembroidery.bigcartel.com. This hat comes from them. There were definitely a lot of people demanded that the hats be released publicly. No clue how many they've sold. It's probably quite a few of them. They're high quality, good hats. heritageheirloomseedcompany.com, where you can also get a survival bucket and enter into their thing for March, where I believe that you get, what was it? You can tell me now. Fact check me live. Wasn't it a free seed bucket or something like that? Can't recall. You can also get soaps from them. And the soap is really, really good. Just to be clear, it is the best soap that I've used. And I'm not saying that because they're a merch partner. I'm saying that because it's genuinely true. Nice lather, but a nice hard bar that like holds together, so it doesn't like turn into a sloppy mass. You know, like some handmade soaps tend to do that. I've had some good handmade soaps, but these ones, the scent is also much more powerful, so I like it. Webster'sWares.com, where you can get Styx Hexenhammer merch. There's also /Styx-Wares. You can get some Styx merchandise, and you can also get some Trump stuff, and there's much more available as well. We've got jamandbean.com. That's jamnbean.com, which supplies me with some coffee. I highly recommend the Costa Rica blend above the others, although they're all good, so it doesn't matter. They've also got tea available. And new, we've got mtpew.com. That's MTPEW, where you can get some good ammo, actually. And they sent me some, and I'll be showing that off again, probably. I'll do a video at some point where I shoot some guns, you know. Chuck Wood, Styx. Check out OMG at Swix on YouTube. Doppelganger, much? Never heard of him. I'll have to check that out later, yeah. But yeah, you've got lots of good stuff available, my dude. By the way, there's almost 4,000 people watching the live stream. I still got 4 stories to go. According to Politico, this was an exclusive that they got earlier. DOJ, Jim Biden associate conspired with alleged mafia boss to defraud Medicare. A new filing accuses Keaton Langston of participating in Medicare fraud alongside an alleged consigliere to the Colombo crime family. This is interesting. And keep in mind, this is an associate of a member of the Biden family. This keeps happening over and over, which means that you know they'll probably skate. The Justice Department named Langston as a co-conspirator in the ongoing fraud case just 3 weeks after congressional investigators grilled Jim Biden about his relationship with the Mississippi businessman. In the course of a previous prosecution, the Justice Department identified a defendant in the fraud case, Florida businessman Thomas Faris, as a high-ranking member of the Colombo crime family, according to court documents. Oh, the Bidens are in league with the mafia. Why am I not surprised? At least it's white-collar crime, I suppose. You know, this time they're not killing somebody or something. Last month, Politico reported that Jim Biden had accompanied Langston, the son of a longtime friend, at a May 2017 meeting at which they pitched the services of Langston's medical lab testing business to a hospital chain. The hospital chain, AmeriCorps, has become a focus of the impeachment inquiry led by House Republicans that is probing potential links between the president and his relatives' business dealings. The Republicans are too fucking retarded in order to make that connection. We all know that there's a connection there, but they're too stupid to find the connection, so it's not going to be meaningful in a legal sense. They'll throw this dude under the bus, Langston, and jail the mafioso maybe, and that's all that'll happen. So, you know, I don't expect any closure on this. I'm just saying that it's definitely newsworthy. So yet another Biden crime syndicate sort of instance, this time involving the fucking mafia. So yeah, kind of interesting now, isn't it? Twig Curse Screwdriver 555. Tarl, this is your long-lost little brother, Carl. We miss you and are very proud of you. Don't forget to bring us some damn soup. I love the memes. One of the reasons for my fucking existence, actually. Hiro Sanishiban. Get some Jam and Bean Panama blend. Have you tried all blends? This one is good. I like it all. Heritage Heirloom Seed Company, bath and body package worth well over $50 is the prize. Okay, so if you get a survival seed bucket from them on heritageheirloomseedcompany.com, you're entered in for the March prize, which is a bath and body package. The soap is definitely worth it. So, yeah. The unintended sticks. How does China pump money into places like Africa or Mexico or anywhere, really, when it seems their economy is not sustainable long term? It's a facade economy. It's a Potemkin economy. So they simply, they manipulate their currency and they manipulate world markets and they make it look like China's worth a lot more than it is. And they take that money and then they bribe third-party nations. Narubin, any thoughts on Gamergate 2.0? I think we covered that actually in the, what was it, the last Friday live stream or Thursday or something. Yeah. We'll probably end up talking about that again as new revelations come around with the Sweet Baby Inc. and things like that. You know, the coercion of gaming companies to try to make them more woke, to try to subjugate them to DEI funding because the games themselves ain't profitable anymore because they take too much fucking money to make, so they have to suck government teat. And anyway, we'll get to the McDonald's ice cream machines, right? Now, Austin Peterson, again, this is a person that I like, so I'm not being too heavily critical of him. And he put this out. It's from a Fox Business article. Federal government wants McDonald's broken down ice cream machines fixed. The insinuation of a lot of these articles, if from the right wing, again, propaganda doesn't just come from the left. The insinuation is that the federal government is trying to bully McDonald's into fixing the ice cream machines, right? So literally coming in and saying, the ice cream machine's broken. We're finding this franchise $10,000. But that's not actually it. This is a lie by structure in this article. I mean, it's Fox, so they lie all the time anyway. The real gist of it is that the manufacturer of the ice cream machines, the proprietary ones that McDonald's is contracted to use, wants only their own manufacturing firms' operatives to be the ones that actually repair the machines. So an employee with exceptional engineering skills who's flipping burgers part-time is not allowed to tinker around with it. A third-party contractor that may be available locally is not allowed to come in and actually fix the fucking machine, which means that they have to wait. As how many McDonald's are there in the world? 100,000 or something like that? 1 million? Who fucking knows? It's a lot of fucking restaurants and a lot of fucking ice cream machines for those softies. But you've only got a certain number of people that are actually available to maintenance them. So if the ice cream machine breaks down in Dayton, Ohio, and the nearest operative is in Texas, it's going to take a little time. And so this explains why McDonald's ice cream machines are frequently on the fritz. No third party is ever allowed to be contracted to take care of the problem. What this proposal does is it allows McDonald's to do just that. It allows the franchise owners to actually get a third party in there so that the machines can be fixed more quickly, because it's basically right to repair. It's sort of like with Apple. You remember years ago when Apple was trying to say that people shouldn't be able to jailbreak their phones and that it was illegal and stuff and everything's proprietary? And the government said, no, we're not going to be doing that. You're not going to be able to sue the average iPhone user for jailbreaking their phone and having a third party fix it because it's their phone. So what the fuck are you talking about? The idea is that you have the right to choose the firm or the individual that's repairing something without breaching a copyright contract. And this simply frees up McDonald's to clean up its ice cream fucking bullshit, because half the machines don't work at any given time. And it's not a major thing. It's not like some great victory for the Biden administration, but it's actually a good idea. Yes, the Biden administration, one of its bureaus actually managed to think up something intelligent to do. Meaningful? No, not necessarily. I never go to McDonald's for their ice cream anyway. I never eat ice cream. If I went to McDonald's, I'd just get a fucking McDouble or something. They probably cost about $5 by now, so I don't know. And I prefer Burger King if I'm going to binge on fast food, and I rarely do that. I prefer to grow as much of my own as possible. And I make better burgers than any of those franchises anyway. I make better BLTs too. Don't get them at Five Guys, get them at Sticks, Hex, and Hammers. But they should be able to repair the fucking machines. And at some point, wouldn't it be the health violation or something like that? You have these old-ass machines that keep breaking down, and there's like metal shavings in the machine or something. It doesn't need to be proprietary. It's a goddamn ice cream machine. You already sold it to McDonald's or to the franchisee. Well, they should be able to hire whoever they want. Helios Ending. Is the Postal Service a male-dominated field? Yes, absolutely. I get the little ditty there. Sparky, getting ready to plant tomatoes. We'll go with varieties I've had good luck with this year, such as Florida Everglades tomatoes. Too often, I waste effort on beta testing experimental varieties. I like the determinate bush varieties, especially for cherry aroma. Although I do have a hankering for, brandywine tomatoes. Those big, the ones that are a lot bigger, they look deformed, they look disgusting, but they're perfect for tomato basil soup. They are undisputably the best for that. Wasted Bonehead. King Anton, does your Biltong support the undead community? Is Big Biltong doing its part to fight for undead rights? Sigilstone, speaking of Gamergate, Ubisoft, the Frenchy Frogs, have partnered with the Macron regime to put players of their games in jail for naughty words. Not a big surprise. Viking Woman 1988, listen to Darkwave, 9 to 11 p.m. Thursday nights on Valley Free Radio, WXOJLP, 103.3 FM, Northampton, Massachusetts. And don't forget, Sick Dog still sucks. Okay. I generally listen to a shortwave radio. You go in between the bands that are actually listed on the U20 site, coincidentally located over in Enschede in the Netherlands, where I'll be fairly soon. Yes, only a couple of miles away from the site that went so mimetic on 4chan that it collapsed several times and they had to close chat because of the trolling during the North Korea thing like 7 years ago. That was a fun time, let me tell you. Trump's bloodbath threat wasn't even the most dangerous thing he said all weekend. Yes, they're still coping. The cope is that Trump's bloodbath comment was debunked completely. He was talking about the automotive industry, but now they're trying to dig up other things that Donald Trump said recently and claim that he's violent and unhinged. Bloodbath? Yeah, that's bad. But Trump called Biden a numbskull. What's bad about that? All right. Called the January 6th Capitol rioters unbelievable patriots, fact check misleading. Called immigrants animals, fact check false. He was referring to illegals that were specifically committing violent crimes, and so much more, all in one weekend. This is by Rex Hupke. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. By the USA Today. More Trump derangement syndrome. You might have heard some controversy over former President Donald Trump's use of bloodbath this weekend. Yeah, a bunch of retardation mainly. Here's a quick summary. At an Ohio rally on Saturday, Trump was talking about the auto industry and said if he doesn't get elected in November, it's going to be a bloodbath for the country, prompting a number of news outlets to report things along the lines of Trump predicts a bloodbath if not elected, which seemed pretty on point, but then a bunch of MAGA types got bent out of shape and said, no, he was talking about it being a bloodbath for the auto industry, which is true. If you listen to it in context, it's objective. Again, this is gaslighting. It's basically don't believe what you heard. Don't believe what you saw. Believe my analysis instead and don't research it for yourself, which seems kind of bad and unnecessarily apocalyptic, but, you know, whatever. And so a bunch of news outlets started writing about the possibility that the bloodbath comment was taken out of context and all sorts of hand-wringing ensued, and it was, to borrow a phrase, a bit of a bloodbath. Oh, so see, you're using the same term. Quite clearly, you're calling for the death of other legacy media figures. And then he quotes it. So finally, again, a little lie by structure because most people have conned animals. Fact check again, false. He was talking about migrants that commit crimes, specifically violent crimes, like the dude that killed that chick there, you know, the one that was illegally from Venezuela and shouldn't have been in the country. Yeah, that was a sticking point for some people. That was a little bit, yeah. When you sound like Hitler, that's a very bad thing. Asked about similarities between his words and Hitler's on Fox News Sunday, Trump said, that's what they say. I didn't know that. Okay. Predicting a bloodbath was the tip of the iceberg. Back at the Saturday rally, Trump said of Biden, a devout Catholic, any Catholic that votes for this numbskull is crazy. Well, I mean, he should have gone further and said anyone who votes for the dude is crazy. It doesn't matter if they're Catholic or not. He mocked Democratic Illinois Governor Pritzker. You have this guy Pritzker. He's too busy eating. He wants to eat all the time. Would you like a hamburger? How many do you want? 5. Who the hell orders 5 burgers? I find it's hilarious, you know. Of Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis, who's prosecuting one of the many criminal cases against the former president, Trump said of her name, it's spelled Fanny, like your ass. I just wish you would tweet these things out. Speaking of former competitors in the GOP primary, Trump said advisors told him to go easy on him. They said, sir, please don't talk about these people that way. They're Republicans. I don't give a shit. They're terrible. That's very violent, by the way. He said shit. Well, who cares? I mean, didn't Obama once call Kanye an asshole or something like that? And he was praised for it. It was considered chic and cool. And in Sunday Fox News interview, Trump again blathered about his absolutely false belief that he won the 2020 election. The election was rigged. It was so rigged, it was crazy. So you've got no other examples of anything that's not completely out of context to actually go on for the entirety of this fucking article. I mean, you should read it for yourself. Link in the description, archived, of course. By the way, if you're on YouTube, pinned at the top is my books blog. You should go and get some books. I have a prolific editor. I've got a bunch more coming down the pipeline this year. Go into links in the description. You can follow along with all of this news. I mean, I was reading the article and laughing my ass off. It's like you're trying to make Trump sound cooler than he even is. BW, are you sure they aren't bankrupting Trump? You want to submit a biltong burger to Burger King if they're still doing that contest. Also, did you see Elon eviscerate Don Lemon on censorship? Yes, I did, by the way. They're not going to be able to bankrupt him. He's got more than enough money to cover bond anyway. It's just he might have to liquidate a property or two. Grandpa Nurgle, Sticks Hexen hamburger. Probably good. Pepe Payne had short random freeze last night. Any tips on saving my Romas? They look very sad. If they got frosted, I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to be able to save them. Maybe somebody in the comments has a suggestion. Wasted Bonehead. I find the term numbskull offensive. King of Biltong. Wasted. We support everyone's rights, dead or alive, equally. It's only the predators and pedos we want to remove from the gene pool. Yeah, well, I mean, keep in mind the dead do vote overwhelmingly Democratic, so. Sigil Stone. If only Trump was based enough to say all these things they accuse him of. Yeah, I know. There are people out there that are disappointed at the fact that Trump's not actually an extremist. I find that hilarious. Brain Biscuit. So is this another episode of Legacy Media TDS Suffers accidentally creates Trump campaign ad? Oh, probably. Metalhead 88X. What we are seeing with Donald Trump with the civil suits is similar to what we saw millionaires fled China. Yeah, you don't want to be persecuted if you can help it. Lancer 737 on Reddit, Antifa cells are admitting to helping illegals come and are training them to fight and unalive Trump supporters. And they are giving suggestions for the cartels how to fight a war with MAGA. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the means. Sparky. Most of the time, fast food workers have just cleaned the ice cream machine, so don't want to fill it up just to sell maybe one cone. Near closing time, the machines usually aren't broken. Yes, but when they are, they're forced to use that particular firm. They're not allowed to use a third party. Caspergers, Wyoming. FBI can stop 12-year-olds from dropping N-bombs on Xbox, but can't stop the trafficking of 12-year-olds. Yeah, exactly. Alden the Blue. The thing with the ice cream machine scam confuses me. You'd think it would hurt McDonald's. It can even affect some coffee products, if I recall. Sparky made awesome wine last year with Everglades tomatoes. Tomato wine? Looks and tastes like Chardonnay. By the way, good luck with your okra. Okra rules. Yeah, it's doing really well over there. You made wine with tomatoes? This confuses me greatly. I didn't know it was possible, and I don't know why you would do so. The bonus holes. You haven't seen a bloodbath until you've worked as a janitor and had to empty the goodie bag receptacles in the woman's bathroom. Thankfully, it's all dry, but the smell. Actually, interesting story. When I was a work study student working in the plant and soil science department at UVM, one of the things that I did have to do a couple times was empty the trash in the bathrooms in that wing. Yeah, I hate to tell you gals out there, but you are much more disgusting than men. I'm not being sexist by saying that, but you see weird shit in the girl's bathroom that you don't generally see in the dude's bathroom. Just saying that. Like in the dude's bathroom, the worst thing you generally see is graffiti, unless you get a poo smear or something like Sigil Stone shows up. Other than that, it's like, okay, somebody pissed on the seat or something. You don't see any weird shit. Girl's bathroom, oh, let me leave my used tampon, next to the toilet. Let me glue my maxi pad to the wall for some reason. You see, like, craziest. Also, the weirder graffiti. The girls like to, gossip about each other and shit like that. It's like, Norma is a slut and stuff like that. It's like in the dude's bathroom, it's just dick jokes or sometimes racial humor. The girl's bathroom, it's more like bad-mouthing each other and weird shit like that. Sparky, same goes with fast food shake machines. The bonus holes. For the record, the bonus holes are staunch supporters of undead rights and are allies of the skeletal community. End of virtue signal. X at the bonus holes. Joe, you can't read this on YouTube, but from 1 to 10, what is the likelihood of Hong Kong causing certain mental disorders? I don't actually know. I think that when you overload someone's body with certain medical things, which, again, you're right, I can't mention it explicitly. You know what I'm talking about, obviously. It involves needles. There can be a problem. It can definitely cause psychological injuries. Sparky, denazify Israel. Yeah, no, seriously, having been in women's bathrooms by having to do that janitorial work for, a few weeks, thankfully I didn't have to do it often. At the end of the day, you have to clear out the trash and shit like that. Mostly I was sweeping floors and occasionally doing plant care. I wish I could have done more of the plant care. But, yeah, it was grotesque, actually. It was bizarre. I never understood that. I was always like, okay, but dudes, we get the reputation we're uncouth and unclean, and we don't trim our toenails, and we roll around in the mud and play with our dicks all day and weird shit like that. Nope, absolutely not, dude. BW, with the sheer numbers of migrants and the Chinese entering the country, seems plausible the government, with the help of Antifa cells, are going to use them to kill real Americans so they don't have to. Well, I mean, it'd take a lot of people. I mean, they don't even have the numbers to overrun just the population of Texas with all their guns. At least not at the moment. They're getting there, though. Pakistan airstrikes send Taliban a message on militant attacks. Yes, Pakistan has attacked the nation of Afghanistan, actually, without permission, so technically it is an act of war. Now, they're only targeting militant targets. But the thing is that the Taliban is co-opted with those militants specifically, so it's sort of interchangeable with the government. Certain elements among those in power in Afghanistan are actively patronizing TTP and using them as a proxy against Pakistan, said a statement from Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministry called the TTP a threat to regional peace and security. Security analysts said Pakistan, which is engulfed in economic and political crises, is telling its neighbors, including rival India, and that is probably part of the point, that its defenses are as strong as ever. Now, the Pakistani military is fairly sophisticated. They do have a lot of hardware, and then they are backed by atomic weapons. That being said, in a fight with India, they'd lose, number one. And number two, in a fight with the Taliban, I mean, you're fighting an asymmetric foe with a symmetric force, and as we've realized, that's not necessarily always the greatest idea. I would say, though, if one nation were capable of occupying a chunk of Afghanistan out of necessity, someone sharing a land border with them, that would probably be more plausible than having to ship in aircraft and shit like that, like the United States has to do. It'd be a little bit easier. Probably not advisable, but it's potentially possible. A Pakistani security official said the airstrikes were in response to an attack on Saturday that killed at least 7 military personnel, including a relatively high-ranking officer. The official said the Pakistani Air Force carried out over a dozen airstrikes and hit 7 militant hideouts in response. The Taliban's army exchanged fire across the border with Pakistani soldiers following the early morning airstrikes in eastern Afghanistan. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Taliban, however, has vowed to retaliate over Monday's strikes, which Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid called a reckless action. Pakistani planes bombed targets in eastern Afghan provinces of Paktika and Khost, killing 5 women and 3 children, according to the spokesman. So, yeah. They're saying you killed civilians. The Pakistanis are saying there's border incursions. And so the war continues, as it has for thousands of years in that particular region. I don't think that it's ever going to see peace. It's sort of like the Levant. There are places in the world that have lasting peace, at least at times. That ain't one of them. I think that it's a lost cause. That's why, even if antagonized, don't bother going into Afghanistan. Drop a few cluster munitions and be done with it and then go home. BW. Actually, I already read that one. Oh, there's the follow-up. So do you think the illegals are soldiers in the coming civil war against real Americans? No, I do not. Some of them, certainly, they would like to be. But I think the bigger problem is economic damage and terrorism. And the fact that you're undermining the U.S., the population in the U.S. that's impoverished and needs help, and instead helping people who are illegally in the country. It's draining the economy. More of an economic war than a shooting war, I think. By the way, please send no more super chats or Rumble rants. I'll go off a little bit early, and keep in mind again, tomorrow I've got 2 appearances that I'm going to make, so I'm not going to be live streaming tomorrow. Jens Peterson, this Dane likes Swiss cheese better than Dana Blue. I like Swiss cheese too, but if I want something sharp, like an actual blue cheese, it's got to be Dana Blue. But yeah, any form of Swiss cheese, I really like the ones that are more dry and kind of nutty in flavor as opposed to the softer Swiss cheeses. Like a lot of people, they prefer it soft. It's more mushy. I like the ones that are kind of hard and they get that sort of powdery coating on the edges and stuff. That's my favorite Swiss cheese. I got used to that as a kid. I used to beg my dad. He worked at the Mountain Creamery in Woodstock, and so they have cold cuts and shit. I would always beg for him to bring back two things, corned beef and Swiss cheese. And at the time, I liked sweet, so the chocolate ice cream with the Oreo cookie crumbles inside of it. That was pretty good. They had a nice ice cream there because they used a higher fat content in manufacturing it. Senor Faces, if an illegal can carry a gun, could I then conceal carry at Chicago as a Puerto Rican living in Wisconsin if I only speak Spanish and leave my ID? Apparently so. Yep, that's actually a decision. Again, I was flabbergasted when I read the article. I'm like, this can't possibly be true. This is just people on the further right. They're replicating the article without fact-checking it. But they were right. No fact-checking required. That was an actual court decision. Sigil Stone. Who to stand in the Stanny Wars? Sparky. Tomato juice is a suspension with pulp. For wine, I just use filtered clear liquid, which doesn't taste like tomato juice. After all, tomatoes are technically berries, a best-kept secret. I'll skip that one. Yeah, I'll skip the tomato wine. Although I really love tomato juice, and V8 is God mode. And you get plenty of salt in it. Don't buy the low salt V8 unless you absolutely have to, by the way, because it's worthless. I got that. My mom went through a health craze when I was younger. My dad had a heart attack, actually. And so she went on a craze of trying to make healthier food and stuff. And the problem is that some health foods suck dick. Like if you make a stir fry, you do need to actually add soy sauce to it. And yeah, New Englanders generally shouldn't cook Asian food. My mom's a good cook. Makes great casseroles, makes great bread. By the way, loves baking. Used to do it like, you should have seen the number of cookies there were on Christmas when I was a kid, for example. But New Englanders generally should not do Asian foods. They also shouldn't do any fucking ethnic foods. I'm one of the rare exceptions as a New Englander that understands herbs, spices, and seasonings, I suppose. It's a big problem. But what was I getting at here? Yeah. V8. Oh, yeah, because I always drank V8 as a kid, but then she got it in her head that the low salt one was healthier. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a kid at the time. I don't think that having a little bit of salt is going to hurt me. And then there was that spicy V8. I think they still have it. And I hated that because, I mean, especially as a kid, because I didn't like spicy stuff. But it's just leave the V8 alone. You've perfected the recipe. Don't tinker with it. Don't fix what ain't broken. Sorry. Yeah, I like a shit ton of herbs and spices in my food, generally speaking. There are exceptions, like I had tuna noodle last night. You don't need herbs and spices for tuna noodle. Just ketchup. And, man, I should eat that on camera sometime. Half of you will think it's great, and half of you will be disgusted and develop a bulimia. You'll end up like Eugenia Cooney. But I think it's great. Sometimes food doesn't need a whole lot of extra flavor because it blends perfectly to begin with. Like, imagine like a split pea soup or something. Okay, mostly it's just fucking peas. It's still delicious, though, and nice and hot and wholesome, and it's good for you, and you get to poop it out later, and that's fun, too. Sigil Stone, thank you, missed a rant from me. My apologies. Oh, yeah, undead aren't numbskulls. They're dumbskulls. Ha! And I got Chester Cheeto on the phone for a big cheese snack ready to back legislation to oppress the undead. Goodness. And then curse these metal hands. Tried Stilton cheese, Mr. Bing Cheeser? Yes, I didn't like Stilton quite as much. It was okay, but I like Dana Blue the best. For the blue cheeses, Dana Blue is my favorite because it's really, really sharp. It's great. You just spread some on a cracker. Sparky, contrary to popular belief, aside from the Crusades, peace in the Levant wasn't unusual before the Zionist movement took over in the 20th century. There were a cascading number of empires that controlled that region. Yes, there were periods of peace. Haven't seen any in a long time, of course. That part is true. But there were definitely plenty of wars in the area. Surprised, other than being at a crux of several major trade routes and having some good resources there, I'm not sure why anyone would be crazy enough to even bother trying to build a civilization in parts of that region. It's like, okay, we got a great location here. Everybody else is going to want that location. So we better make sure these walls are awfully high and awfully thick. Yeah. But I'll try pretty much any food once, as long as it's not brain matter or something nervous system related, because I don't want prions. Anything else goes. I don't know if I'd try fugu. I don't know if I want to take that risk. Yeah, I know it's generally going to be safe, but, you know, that 1 out of 100,000 chance that I got the trainee chef, you know, I'm not willing to take that risk. Plus, it sounds like it just basically is a tingly fish anyway, so I don't know. I'll just stick with regular sushi. Sparky, I love tomato juice too. V8 rules. Yes, V8 is one of the greatest things ever invented. I wish I could get a sponsorship from V8. I'd chug it on camera every single day. Try Asian barbecue, says Agent of Fortune 36. Yeah. Haitian food does look good. I've never actually, I think, had any Haitian food, but it does look delicious. Of course, Haitian food for most Haitians is an MRE, which that's okay. Rice and beans or mud cakes, actually. Urchin sushi is disgusting. I've never had the privilege of trying urchin sushi, but I really, really want to. Not sure how it would taste, but I'm imagining just a really like saltwatery flavor to it. Like maybe a little bit off-putting, but I'll try it anyway. Barbecue isn't a cannibal. He brings food to the pores. Yes, it's a joke that barbecue is actually a cannibal. It does not appear that that's actually the case. So he's basically the leader of Haiti. Probably better than the former fucking prime minister at this point. Not that it matters, because there's no infrastructure or economy left, so it doesn't really matter who runs Haiti at this point. They've completely collapsed into anarchy. Militias have risen up. We talked about that the other day. Unfortunately, the militia doesn't have any guns, so there's not a whole lot that they can do to prevent their families from being, mass casualtied. Urchin sushi is gamey, ungodly fishy, stinks, and has the texture of snot. Sounds right down my alley. A weird food. I want to try durian too. I imagine that I'm one of the people that can take it. And also hakarl, which is a form of fermented shark meat from Iceland. I want to eat all the weirdest foods. If anyone, by the way, ever has any suggestions for even more bizarre foods that don't involve brain or nerve matter, yeah, you can always tell me. Again, I'll try pretty much anything once. I've eaten bugs. I've eaten buffalo testicles. I've eaten all sorts of weird shit. Menudo, that's not that weird. I mean, but it's weird. To the Anglos, it's weird. To the gringos. Durian needs a lot of work to be decent. It's basically vegan pulled pork when done right, but damn, it stinks. By the way, I have tried pemmican. I actually liked it a lot. Eat a Pikachu. You weirdo. Yeah. I don't think that Pikachu is edible. You might get shocked a little bit. Oh, one more super chat. Again, please send no more. Sparky, you get a Paul pass this time. Sparky, make Israel Syria again. In those Ottoman Empire days, Levant Jews and their neighbors, whether Muslim, Christian, or otherwise, got along fine. Of course, there was the jizya tax. Cool Roy, can you send me something from the coffee shop? Lol. We'll look into that. But anyway, I've got to go offline. I thank you to the over 5,000 people who tuned in live, but, I've got some food stuff. We're having homemade pizza tonight, and I made the sauce, and I make a very, very good pizza sauce, by the way. And, I would do garden work, but it's covered in snow, so fuck it, I suppose. Sparky, I use the spicy V8 for Bloody Marys. Never liked those either. Neither the, what the fuck is that? Beer with tomato in it, and I had one that was manufactured by Budweiser at the time, Clamato or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Oh my god, it was right up there with the white chicken MRE there. It was for lack of taste. Anyways, I'm gonna go offline now. I'll eat puffin meat. Everything's edible. At least once. You can eat anything once. You can eat molten lead if you want to. Might taste sweet. That's about all. Peace out.